Hey, welcome to race 5 of the Cycling Canada Wednesday night race series. We are starting in full speed ahead here, you'll notice, because we are finally starting with just an A group. Or, sorry, A, I wish. Just a B group. And so, no catching A this time. And it's all very, controlled, normal, sort of feels like a regular racing, where instead of, everyone going as hard as they possibly can until we slowly die off one at a time, and maybe a few remainders keep with A until halfway through the race. We actually roll a B group, which, like I said, it just felt a lot more normal, a lot more regular race going on here with some quiet moments where you're actually recovering, and then some hard efforts, and yeah, not just going totally entire red line limit for 10 kilometers at the outset. So course here is in Watopia. We're going to go 2 times over the smaller climb. And I think that's about to start. Yeah, pretty soon here. So I'm going to slow her down in a second to regular pace so you can see how this first climb works out. Um, we take it in the 2 different directions. And so that was obviously going to be make or break for this race, especially with 123 B riders going together. They'll actually, if you look at the map, we've had quite a few splits already. I'm a little surprised to see that. Um, but once you're up into the 120, that happens. The smallest bit can split a group, and you're when you're stretched out, you're so far back on that split that it can be miles to get up. So happy to be hitting this climb then in the front group. Though it wasn't terribly difficult. It was a fast start as they always are, and then um, just a reasonable kind of roll. Now hitting this climb the first time around, um, I was feeling pretty mediocre. So trying to remember what I did that week. Just a regular long run, Monday night race, Tuesday run, and then this was on a Wednesday, so I did a swim that morning. Nothing crazy on the swim. So I should have felt a little bit fresher than I did. So you can see I'm letting a gap go here, and that's not good because you can see how compact that front group is. That they will move quite quickly, and we're going up this because it's a fairly shallow climb at 30 plus kilometers an hour, so you're going to be getting a draft even on this climb. So I shouldn't be letting this gap go, but uh, you can see I'm just don't quite have that punch on this ride. However, most importantly, I don't give up. And the other thing I did is because I knew those 2 climbs were going to be the real make or break on this race, I picked the lightest bike I have. It's one of the specialized, I think it's an S Works Tarmac or something like that, and then it's with the NV 3.4 wheels, which are the lightest thing you can get next to the Meilenstein that also have a little bit of aerodynamic advantage. So this is kind of like my go-to climbing setup. You can see a lot of folks on Tron bikes, which hits kind of that middle of good climbing and good aero. But for me, in these races, I'm almost always in a pack. Now I say that as I'm having to close little gaps here, and all the business happens on the climbs in terms of splits and whatnot. So hence my choice. But you can see I've just dropped the head there, just from my face that I'm not enjoying this first climb, but I am keeping that group in touching distance. And so what happens usually is when folks hit the top of the climb, they will kind of collectively step off the gas out of a bit of a relief. And so you'll get these big slow downs. And so one happened there as kind of the pitch went down to a 0%, and then it's gonna kick off again on this last little bit. Um, but again, I'm close enough that I know if I don't feel good, it's still going to be okay. So There's a really good sized pack here now. Um, I believe from the results, essentially it was 30 people in the front group because not everyone's on Zwift Power, so we're probably about 35 in the game. About 30 will show up in the results. So, this pack, this is right off the bat. If you want to be on the podium in this race, you got to be in this pack. No one behind is going to catch a 35 rider group. That's the best group up the climb. So I'm going to fast forward it again because this race unfolds like most regular B only races do, which is you go bananas on some climbs and then everyone kind of rolls the rest of the time. Especially with this size, so the bigger you get, the less there's going to be kind of breakaways and that sort of thing. Because the pace of a large group is just so too hot for any single rider. So we're rolling here at 43, and I'm doing kind of low threes, high twos. So got a cramp there. I had to stop and stretch out the side from some cramp. Yeah, if we're rolling at 43 kilometers an hour, only doing like 3 watts per kilogram, that means if you want to leave the group, you got to be able to ride 45, 46 kilometers an hour for an extended period of time. So, if you've done any crit racing, you know that is a big ask in terms of speed. You know, in the M3 stuff that I race on the road, the pack might go like 39, and then you've just got to go like 43 to get some distance on them. But that difference between 43 to 46, 47 is a huge jump. So yeah, no one's getting away from this group. There's potential for little splits, like we just came up that 1% grade. And so you can see there are moments where, like through here with the cobblestones and stuff, where my heart rate is still relatively high. And so this group's not totally sitting, but compared to riding with the A's when we're going like absolute crazy. So this section I always find a little tricky through the lumps and bumps. Again, so you can see my heart rate way up because each of those little turns, Zwift kind of disconnects that draft. Okay, so here's the heartbreaker. Look at my watts up there and my hands to my head. I had a dropout on this front group, which was just, here I am letting everyone know, and I get some nice messages of sympathy because many have been there before with the Zwift dropout. Now, I noticed a couple more actually this morning while I was doing a group ride. So I don't know what's going on with my setup. I've got the Ant extender. I've got nothing else running on the computer other than the Open Broadcast Studio. And I haven't been having dropout. I used to get them quite a bit. Then I upgraded my computer. So yeah, not sure what happened. But Watts come back here. And then basically that I'm not going to catch that group again. They're doing 42 kilometers, 43 kilometers an hour. I'm not going to bridge that gap. So basically all I can do is kind of ride steady here and let that second pack catch me. So I'm already looking back at that next green blob. The nice thing is the timing of it in terms of that catch from the second group was that it was into this climb. So I was able to kind of tap up this climb at a nice kind of comfortable level. Whereas you can see, look at the map, look at that front group just blown to smithereens up that climb. And so it was nice. Like now I'm just watching for this group to catch, so I know when to accelerate to stay with them. And I used my feather to assist me in that, to stay with the pack. So now this second group becomes my new friends, which is great. I'm riding with Noah Miller, who I haven't seen in a dog's age, so that was great to ride with Noah. I wish though, because look at that front group. It's all to pieces. There's one main pack, and then several splits. I would have loved to have been there and see exactly how that front unfolded. Now, having not excelled on my first time over the climb, there's a good chance I would not be in that front group. Let's be perfectly honest. I might be in that second front pack at this point in time. Who knows? You never know how you recover in a couple of minutes, but So I don't know if I was going for glory there anyway or not, but here I am with the second group and rolling nice and easy, recovering, seeing the kind of heart rates I want to see if I know we're getting into a small sprint. So if I can get her down into the 160s, then I know I'm ready for anything that's coming next. So um, now it's the usual thoughts here. Then is think about my positioning in the group, watch for any last minute attacks, stay kind of near the front, and try not to go too early and pull everyone along. This is a good size for me for a sprint finish, a good size pack. Um, in small, kind of 2 or 3 people, I don't have a strong sprint, so usually I'm toast. Too big of a group, and you get this long max rush ahead of time, and you end up like anaerobic for 1.2 kilometers or something, which I can't do. My anaerobic is really short. So this is a nice size pack where it's like hopefully I can use the size of the pack to sit in. I can that the sprint won't start too early for me, and that other people will make errors of going early and pulling and that kind of stuff. So I was feeling pretty good about sprinting this pack, even though at this point now I'm only going for positions in the 30s. It's a race still, so you want to make everything you can. At least I do. I wasn't gonna not try just because I had a dropout. So I was also kind of watching. There were some groups up ahead that were coming back to us, but that's still a pretty big gap. It's like, oh, it'd be nice if we could take a couple free spots by catching some ahead. But I wasn't gonna push it. If someone else wanted to start chasing them now, that'd be great. But so this is where the bike question. I mean, it's an interesting one because these all come down to some level of sprint. There we go. We got someone going really early, which is unfortunate. But I do know that I don't have to chase it. Someone else will. But it's the little climb that they're trying to use here to split the group. It's a good move. I mean, if you don't have a big sprint and you want to just put everyone to the sword bright and early, if you've got this little pitch there, but clearly, unfortunately, it doesn't go their way. So if you're going to commit, you got to commit all the way, and there they already sat up. So they must have blown on the climb a little bit, and then they're doing 2.5 over the hill. If you're going to go, you got to go over the hill, and then you got to be hammering. So because of that surge, I'm a little further ahead. Noah's right on the front. That's bold move, doing 4.5 with 1 kilometer to go, sitting on the front. We appreciate it. Good man, good man. I was a little bit more ahead than I wanted to be there. Now is when people start moving. Now I want to go forward. But I could have been back in the pack a bit, but it was hard with how things kind of stretched on that climb. So here's the tough call. So now you've got 2 riders who are really going for it. One of those is Noah. And I want their draft. I don't want to entirely pull this whole group along, which I don't pull the whole group, but I pull a couple along to make that bridge. So I probably could have sat a little longer, but again, there's a chance that those 2 riders on the front are going to go. So now I get a nice wheel to pull me up and through, which is what happens. We blow through that early move. And then I start to stomp on it with about 180 to go. But these guys just got more juice at the end here than me. So I've got up to 8 watts per kilogram at that bit, but not too shabby. I managed to put my heart rate. I think my max heart rate hit 195 there, which is the highest it's been. Look at me. It's in a bit of a state there. Yeah, highest heart rate I've hit for a little while. And so yeah, nice to be able to kind of finish it off with the sprint at the end, and get something, fourth in that little group there. Make something of a race that did not go my way.